Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and Spider-Man Far From Home is now available in digital HD, allowing the obsessives like me a chance to truly go frame by frame through this film in 4K to savor every precious second of Tom Holland, Peter Parker's final hours in the Marvel Cinematic Universe before Sony snatches him away from us. One of the craziest Easter eggs I've been catching in my rewatches concern Mysterio. Not just Quentin Beck, but the true Mysterio, since let's be honest, it was a team effort. Quentin Beck, along with former Stark Industries cohorts, Wilhemina, Guterman, Janice, Victoria, all these folks shared an impressive ability of blending in and hiding in plain sight. Like, these villains were under Peter Parker's nose the whole time, infiltrating his summer vacation and coming striking distance of ruining his life. Hell, you could even say that by the post-credits scene, Team Mysterio truly did win in that regard. Along with Infinity War, Far From Home is the only MCU film to end in utter catastrophe for the hero. I mean, sure, Ragnarok ended with an entire home planet getting destroyed, but it felt like a positive note. Now, one of the deleted scenes from the Far From Home extended cut showed Team Mysterio in their London disguises as Beck made a phony phone call to Nick Fury from their bunker. It was hilarious. Each team member's wearing goofy costumes as tourists, bicyclists, and like the costumes they wore in that Prague bar, it reminds us that these conspirators are freaking master of disguises. And if you were looking carefully, they're hiding all over this movie. So in this episode, I'm gonna break down every Team Mysterio sighting that we overlooked the first time we watched Far From Home. Okay, the first hidden sighting shows up in Venice long before Peter shakes hands with Quentin Beck, even before Peter fights what he thinks is the water elemental alongside what he thinks is Mysterio. What he thinks everything in this movie is lies. Anyway, when Peter heads off to buy a necklace for MJ, in the background, on the left, there is a tourist wearing a hat and a Hawaiian shirt. When he turns around, there's a beard there, and a couple seconds before the camera cuts away, it is totally Quentin Beck creeping on Peter. Ugh. The director, John Watts, put Jake Gyllenhaal in costume, snuck him into the background in this scene. And whether or not you knew about this is the first of many Team Mysterio sightings in the film. But before we continue, thank you to Vincero Watches for sponsoring this episode. We decided to partner with Vincero because we figured, hey, if I'm gonna be wildly gesticulating my arm at the camera so damn much, might as well slip something classy on it. So these aren't the generic or minimalist cookie cutter designs. Vincero are crafted to set you apart rather than conform. You'll get noticed and complimented as opposed to forgotten or screamed at for getting the theory wrong. A piece like this will instill a sense of rebellious confidence, so much so that you'll call a watch a piece. This baby is gunmetal 316L surgical grade stainless steel and a top grain walnut Italian leather strap. It's got sapphire coated crystal scratch resistant glass face. It's not a web shooter, but it still feels real good on your wrist. Vincero provides the same look and feel of luxury watches 10 times the price of theirs, and they offer free worldwide shipping. So check them out yourself. Just click on the link in the description below for a special offer of 15% off with the promo code Rockstars. Okay, back to Team Mysterio creeping around on Peter throughout Far From Home. There are even more sightings and possible sightings throughout the streets and canals of Venice. After Peter buys a necklace, he and MJ stroll along the canal and briefly passing them, giving them a look. Oh, that's Guterman! Goots. He's the storyteller of Team Mysterio. He crafted all the narratives of Beck's backstory and each elemental attack. And looking closely at the background, there might be some sightings of the rest of the team. Like as Peter leaves the shop, there's a blonde woman at a fish counter on the left side of frame who looks a bit like the blonde in Team Mysterio, credited only as the seamstress. And right before Goots shows up, on the steps in the distant background, there's a bald man who might be Wilhemina, though I guess if it's this close to the show, he would probably be tucked away in a drone control booth somewhere nearby. And shortly after that, there's a woman with dark hair passing behind Peter and MJ. Looks a bit like Janice, the team member who notified the others that Tony Stark planned to bequeath EDITH to Peter Parker. The fact that Beck and some of the others were stalking Peter before the first water elemental attack tells us that it wasn't Peter's interference that put him on a collision course with Team Mysterio. This wasn't an accident at all. This team pre-selected Venice as an attack location because they knew that Peter Parker would be there and would receive Tony Stark's EDITH glasses, which of course is a real thing that they were after. In fact, it's possible that Team Mysterio was even more involved in Peter's whole summer plans. Think about it. We never quite know why Peter and his friends are going on this Euro trip. Now later on, the chaperones joke that it's supposed to be a science trip, but at no point do any of them do anything sciencey. They're seeing the sights like museums, festivals, opera, a gondola ride, tour buses, and on every leg of this journey, their plans are suddenly changed, but really ways to redirect Peter to bring him closer to the action. Peter and Ned thought it was Nick Fury hijacking their summer vacation, but really, this whole operation was orchestrated by Mysterio. So what if the whole trip from the beginning was an offer by this team, designed to extract Peter out of his safe home neighborhood and expose him on foreign soil soil to make him more vulnerable so that they could steal the EDITH glasses. If these folks can trick millions of people with hollow projected monsters attacking major world cities, they can definitely rig up a dozen international flights and itineraries, and the team just so effortlessly slips in and out of these travel scenarios. Guterman becomes the group's tour bus driver in London, and later he abandons them on the Tower Bridge, and if you look closely can be seen leaning against an archway near the Tower of London as the kids run past him. With this level of control, it is amazing that any of the kids from Midtown High made it out of this alive. And there's one final new detail I spotted in the rewatch that tells us just how close Team Mysterio got to completely offing Peter Parker. The moment Quentin Beck appears to be dying and he appears to hand back the EDITH glasses, of course this is just a projection, the way he's holding those glasses matches the way that the real Mysterio, hidden beside Peter, is aiming a gun at his head. Peter catches and deflects the shot at the last second, but we don't even have time to breathe a sigh of relief. It happened so fast, but this is one of the many moments we nearly saw Peter Parker's blood spilled all over the screen. So to me, Mysterio, not just Quentin Beck, but the whole team, is the most effective MCU villain besides Thanos. Really, no one else so devastatingly deceives the hero, and deceives several others, including Nick Fury and Maria Hill. Not just the Skrull versions of these characters, but presumably the real Nick Fury, because that Nick Fury thought it would be safe to leave Peter and Talos with Quentin Beck. In the post-credit scene when Talos reported to Nick Fury that everything was okay, presumably Fury must have thought everything would have been okay too. So Mysterio infiltrated everyone's defenses. They messed him up real bad, and they ruined Peter Parker's life. And still, there's also enough evidence to suggest that Quentin Beck might not even be dead. Go check out that video when you can. But how do you think Mysterio compares to other MCU villains? Comment down below with your thoughts, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Erik Voss, and subscribe to New Rockstars for the breakdowns and theories for everything Marvel. Thank you for joining me, and just so you know, Philip and I are also similarly locked in a battle of control over EDITH sunglasses. Many will die.